Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Over the past 72 hours, the past 3 days, we have seen some decent rains across the Midwest and the Southern Plains. So let's break this down for you here. Looking first at the Midwest, we did see some decent rain across southern Wisconsin, parts of Iowa, north central Illinois, and parts of northeastern Missouri, with several areas, especially into northern Illinois, that did receive over an inch and even over 2 inches of rain, including the Rockford, Illinois region, Chicago, and then down toward Peoria there into Illinois. We did see some decent rains over the past 3 days, and this is definitely helping out in the drought across these areas and across the southern plains. We did see some decent rains here from portions of central Texas down toward portions of Houston, getting down there between Houston and Corpus Christi. We did see some decent rains over the past 3 days there. Why I mention that is because we are in drought, and a significant drought at that across those areas. The drought continues, especially for the areas I mentioned in the southern plains, where we do have that extreme and exceptional drought in the red and maroon red shaded colors. That's where we desperately need the rain. And we did see some of that, so it may start to help. The new drought monitor does come out tomorrow on Thursday, so we'll see if that does help here in the long term. But if you're like detailed weather breakdowns across North America, including the tropics on this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and also like the video down below. And you can also help out by sharing this video on social media, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. I do appreciate that as well, and it helps to get the word out there as well. Looking here at the severe weather threat for today, we do have a marginal risk. This is in the dark green shaded color. That is a level 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale from the Storm Prediction Center. This is across eastern Oklahoma, getting into western Arkansas and extreme northeast Texas, mainly seeing just 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail today. The tornado risk is overwhelmingly low. And then as we go into Thursday, a large marginal risk covers most of the Great Plains states, including back here into portions of eastern New Mexico, eastern Colorado as well. This stretches all the way up into South Dakota, includes parts of Nebraska, western and central Kansas, getting into western and central Oklahoma, the Texas area here, and including the Texas Panhandle, northern Texas. We could see a smaller slight risk, which would be a level 2 out of 5 within the yellow shaded color. That could be added to this as we get in towards Thursday morning, something to keep an eye on here. This is more, again, for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and some quarter-size hail out there. The tornado risk is very low. Looking at that time frame, the total rainfall accumulation now through Friday morning on the 22nd of September here, you can see the heaviest of the rains will be falling from the mid-Missouri Valley back here into the southern plains, so Springfield, Missouri, getting back toward Tulsa, getting into the Fort Smith, Arkansas region. Some of those areas could be seeing a couple inches to a few inches of rain as we go through Friday morning, possibly some minor flooding inconveniences down here into eastern Oklahoma through that Friday time frame. So turn around, don't drown, especially if you see flooded roadways. Our next significant storm system is making its way into the Rockies as we go into Friday. This is on September 22nd, and it's going to become a little bit more of a stronger fall type of low pressure system as it really gets tightly wound like a cinnamon bun there into across the northern plains and upper Midwest on Saturday, and it kind of just meanders across the upper Midwest heading into Sunday as well. So this is something to keep an eye on, especially this is the second season of severe weather we are entering into. So on Friday, we're watching and waiting for showers and thunderstorms across South Dakota, getting into eastern and central Nebraska, possibly down there into parts of Kansas here. This is mainly going to be for isolated to widely scattered coverage of severe storms. So my severe weather forecast for Friday goes as follows. The key is down here on the left-hand side of your screen. In the yellow shaded color, possibly some severe weather from portions of eastern and central South Dakota, down into eastern Nebraska, northeast Kansas, and getting into western Iowa and extreme northwestern Missouri. Areas at risk here are talking about Omaha, down there toward Kansas City, and possibly as far south as the Topeka region as we go into Friday. Damaging winds and large hail will be the main risk, although an isolated tornado will be possible. Then as we go into Saturday, that low starts to strengthen to a 999 millibar low pressure system as it pulls up here into the upper Midwest, into portions of South Dakota and Minnesota. That's going to have a trailing cold front with it. And as we go into Saturday afternoon and evening, we're going to see some showers and storms develop along and ahead of that cold front. And that's where we could start to see damaging winds, large hail, and yes, a little bit more of a heightened threat for tornadoes, I do think, as we go into Saturday afternoon and evening. So much so that I actually included an orange area. That's a likely severe from portions of far southern Minnesota through much of central Iowa, including the Des Moines region, down through portions of Missouri there. That's where we could see some damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour, some quarter size or even larger type of hailstones, and also a few tornadoes will be possible, especially in this orange shaded color on Saturday. Then as we go into Sunday, we're going to have a secondary low pressure system start to develop here across portions of North Texas, getting into Oklahoma, and this is going to be the focal point for additional strong to severe storms Sunday afternoon and evening across the mid-Missouri Valley down into portions of the Mid-South and the Southern Plains. These areas are going to be at risk for severe weather on Sunday. This could be a little bit more interesting. A mesoscale convective system could develop on Sunday. We have a likely severe weather threat potentially from portions of southern Missouri down near the Ozarks region, getting in towards northwestern Arkansas, possibly including Little Rock, and then further to the west toward Tulsa, Oklahoma City, the Shawnee area, and then maybe into North Texas. This does include possibly even the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texarkana, and back there toward Wichita Falls as we go into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. Here's the total rainfall accumulation now through next Wednesday. This is a week from today through Wednesday, September 27th. Decent rains across the heartland of the country here from the upper Midwest down to the mid-Missouri Valley and the southern plains. We desperately need it, so we'll take any raindrops we can get here, and it looks like it could be coming down at a fairly decent clip as well, especially where you see these reds and the oranges and yellows. That's where we could easily see 2 to 4 plus inches of rain as we go through the next week. So that will be something to keep an eye on there, but some good news for the drought. But looking long range toward the very last few days of September and the opening few days of October, above average temperatures are favored along and east of the Rockies here, with below average temperatures favored near the west coast from Washington State down through Oregon, Nevada, and into California there into the Sacramento Valley. Below normal temperatures will be favored with an active storm track that will bring above normal precipitation up here to the west coast and the Pacific Northwest, and some of that could bleed down across portions of the north central states. Will dry out a little bit across the Mississippi Valley from the Great Lakes all the way down toward the Gulf Coast there, especially the Rio Grande back here into portions of New Mexico. We will see some tropical moisture from Florida all the way through the Carolinas, Virginia, and the Delmarva region. That could be bringing us some healthy rains as we enter in toward early October as well. Speaking of the tropics, we're keeping an eye on Hurricane Nigel that continues to spin up here in the North Atlantic Ocean over portions of the open waters. And this is going to continue away from North America, remain a hurricane through likely Thursday night before falling back to a tropical storm by Friday. Right now, it's a maximum sustained winds of 100 miles per hour. And it's moving quickly to the north at 15 miles per hour. It will be turning northeastbound and away from North America as we go over the next few days. So that is not a concern for us. But what is a concern is the National Hurricane Center continuing to maintain a 30% probability of some tropical or subtropical development right off of the coast there of Georgia and the Carolinas. You can see as early as Friday a 1004 millibar low with some decent rains, a decent rain shield on the northern side of this system developing as possibly a subtropical cyclone as we go into Friday. Then this lifts up potentially as a subtropical system or even a tropical storm perhaps across the mid-Atlantic states with some very heavy rains there across portions of the Delmarva, getting into portions of Boston, getting in toward the Hartford region, into Cape Cod, Long Island, New York City, those areas, some very heavy rains this upcoming weekend on Saturday likely. That will extend into Sunday, so some flooding could be a concern across the East Coast and parts of the mid mid-Atlantic as we go into this weekend. Here's the rainfall totals as we see them right now through next Wednesday. Over the next 7 days, we do start to see 1 to 3 inches of rain, and this could go a little bit further inland here as well, including the central Carolinas, much of Virginia, southeastern Pennsylvania, getting up there into southern New York State, getting up there into Massachusetts, around the Boston region, an inch of rain there. And then as we go closer to the coast, that's where the heaviest rainfall will be. But if this shifts another, 50 to 100 miles west than this forecast does show currently, we easily could be seeing 5 to 7, 8 inches of rain further inland there across the Carolinas, Virginia, the Delaware region, and even New Jersey. So that will be something to keep an eye on. But regardless, healthy rains are on the way for this weekend and early next week from portions of the East Coast, the Mid-Atlantic, and up into the coastal New England. And we are watching potentially another system. This could be named Ophelia as we go in towards this weekend and more so into next week. This has a 70% chance of developing as it's just coming off of the African coast and it's moving into the main development region, as we call it here, just to the east of the Lesser Antilles. And I say just to the east of the Lesser Antilles. I mean, folks, this is hundreds of miles to the east of the Lesser Antilles, so plenty of time to watch it. This is on Friday, the September 22nd here. The system's just getting organized. It's starving for moisture at first, but it's going to start to gather some steam as it moves to the west by Sunday, late this weekend. And then as we go into early next week, this model in particular, the Icon model, does very well in the short and medium range. And it does show 2 separate systems, but the one we're really keeping an eye on is the first lead system here. It does approach the Lesser Antilles as we go into the early and middle portion of next week, perhaps, if it is a weaker system. Now, if this system strengthens a little bit more and becomes stronger, it's likely going to turn a little bit more to the north and west and miss the Lesser Antilles. So this will be something to keep an eye on. It's all about the strength of this high pressure system up here, the Bermuda High, and also the strength of this low pressure system working together with where this system could go. Looking to the ensemble guidance, this is the European ensemble members, the EPS, and you can see it ranges from the Lesser Antilles here as a direct hit all the way back to nothing happening for those folks there in the Lesser Antilles, so we're keeping an eye on that. The GEFS guidance, the American guidance, is a little bit further south with the track here, especially when we saw Lee just go north of Puerto Rico, a little bit further to the south here, and this could be seeing some members toward the Lesser Antilles into the main development region, so no time to panic at all. There's plenty of time to watch this system here as we go in toward next week, and that is for sure. But what we do know for sure here, and it's certainty, the hurricane season is going to continue into early October. The first 10 days of October could be very busy as the main development region lights up with more storms potentially, and those could either track into the western Atlantic or into the eastern Caribbean into early October, and we will keep you updated on this channel with that as well. If you haven't seen my winter forecast for 2023 and 2024, make sure to go watch that. Lots of great details on what to expect this upcoming winter all across North America, especially the lower 48 here across the United States. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching today's video. Give it a like, thumbs up if you like today's weather content. Also, make sure to share this video with friends, family, and on social media. Again, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, etc., I do appreciate that. And be sure to leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.